My name is Ryan, and I'm an agorist. Today we are talking about self-education. As a child, I was homeschooled. The curriculum that we used was heavily reading-based. At the beginning of the year, my mother would present me with a huge pile of books, everything from history books to historical fiction to literature, science, and math. I knew that I needed to get through those by the end of the year, and I was always excited at the beginning of the school year. I remember diving into the books, often focusing on the history books, the historical novels, and readers. My mother allowed us to mostly direct our own education, so I would often skip books and topics that I didn't find interesting. I've always enjoyed hands-on science, but science books, for example, listing scientific facts and such, were just never that interesting to me. So I would either skim through those or skip them entirely. By the end of each year, I would have finished going through my math textbook, all of the history books, and most of the readers, plus the read-alouds because I didn't want to wait for my mother to read them to me. When I reached high school, I began going to school. I enjoyed hanging out with more kids my age, but overall I found it to be extremely boring and unengaging. One of the things that bothered me most was sitting through and listening to teachers drone on and on, teaching what was already written for us in our textbooks, but taking much longer than it would have taken us just to read it ourselves. I took to ignoring my teachers to the fullest extent possible. I'd read what he or she was talking about from the textbook, and then I'd check out. I'd spend that class time reading Tolkien or other favorites of mine. Sometimes I got in trouble for it, but I never quite understood what the problem was since I was not distracting anybody, and I often made straight A's anyway. The difference between myself and my classmates really became clear to me in 11th grade. It was late on a warm Texas night that some friends and I were studying for a big trigonometry test. One girl turned to me and asked how to solve a certain problem. I was busy with my own work, so I asked for her textbook. I turned to the page where that was explained. I handed it back and pointed, telling her to read there and she'd get it. Rather than take the book from me, she stared at me with a blank expression. Confused, she told me that she didn't know what I meant. She said that if she wanted to read, she would read, but her problem was that she needed to learn how to do this and therefore needed someone to teach her. Later that night, I thought about her words and about my experience so far in high school. I realized that many, if not most of my friends from school, did not know how to teach themselves. They needed to be taught by someone, even if the material was right in front of them and as clear as day. Years later, someone asked me what the best thing was that my parents did for me. Without hesitation, I told them that homeschooling was the best thing they had done for me because it taught me to teach myself. I am still an avid reader and studier. I love learning and growing my mind. These days, I make my living as a computer application developer. I was never taught how to build a JavaScript application, but I learned through months and months of reading and studying and using the plethora of materials available online. I got a Kindle Unlimited subscription and just took book after book on topic after topic until I was able to do exactly what I wanted to do. The point of this post isn't that everyone should be homeschooled. The point of this post is that everyone should be able to teach themselves. If you cannot teach yourself, if you cannot learn and grow on your own, then you're stuck. You're at the mercy of others because you need them to teach you. If you want to be free, you need to be able to take care of yourself, and that includes being able to teach yourself. Sure, sometimes it might be helpful to learn directly from someone, to be taught face-to-face, but the difference is that you aren't bound to that. You're free to choose, and therefore aren't learning at the mercy of others. The ability to teach yourself is one of the most important life skills that anyone could learn. It's a skill that I make use of every day, and one that I want my children to have and use as well. I hope the same for you. This is Techno Agorist, episode 19.
This is an MLGA Network original podcast. Find more great content at mlganetwork.com.